March 15th, 44 BC. The most powerful man in Rome walked into the Senate. He expected another ordinary meeting. Instead, he was surrounded. One by one, Roman senators pulled out hidden daggers. Within minutes, Julius Caesar was dead. But why? Why would Rome's most powerful leader be murdered by his own people? To answer that question, we must go back to the beginning. Chapter 1. A Boy in Rome. Our story begins around 100 BC in the city of Rome.
At that time, Rome was one of the most powerful civilizations in the world. Its armies conquered new lands, its politicians fought for power, and its people dreamed of glory. Julius Caesar was born into a noble Roman family. His family was respected, but they were not among the richest people in Rome. From a young age, Caesar was intelligent, confident, and ambitious. He wanted more than an ordinary life, but Rome was a dangerous place. Powerful politicians competed against each other, and enemies could appear at any moment. When Caesar was still a young man, a dictator named Sulla took control of Rome. Sulla saw Caesar as a political threat and ordered him to divorce his wife. Caesar refused. As a result, he lost his property, his position, and was forced to flee Rome. For a time, he lived as a fugitive, hiding from powerful enemies. Many people would have given up, but not Julius Caesar. These early struggles would shape the man who would one day change the history of Rome forever. Chapter 2. The Road to Power. After the death of Sulla, Caesar was finally able to return to Rome. He was no longer a frightened young man hiding from his enemies. He had survived one of the most dangerous periods in Roman history. Back in Rome, Caesar began building his political career. He quickly gained a reputation as a skilled speaker. People enjoyed listening to him, and many admired his confidence and ambition. But politics in Rome was expensive. To gain support, Caesar borrowed large amounts of money. He spent heavily on public events and entertainment to win the favor of the people. Many believed he was taking a huge risk. However, Caesar understood something important. Power was not only won on the battlefield. It was also won in the hearts of the people. As his popularity grew, so did his influence. Soon, Julius Caesar was no longer just another politician. He was becoming one of the most important men in Rome. Chapter 3. The Conqueror of Gaul. As Caesar's political influence grew, he sought something even greater. He wanted military glory. In 58 BC, Caesar was given command of several Roman legions and sent to Gaul, a vast region that covers much of modern-day France and parts of neighboring countries. What followed would change his life forever. For nearly 8 years, Caesar led his armies across Gaul. He fought powerful tribes, crossed dangerous rivers, and won battle after battle. His soldiers admired him because he often shared their hardships. He marched with them, faced danger with them, and celebrated victories with them. As news of his victories spread, Caesar became famous throughout Rome. The people saw him as a hero. His enemies saw him as a growing threat. By the end of the Gallic Wars, Caesar had gained wealth, fame, and the loyalty of a powerful army. He was no longer just a politician. He was becoming one of the most powerful men in the Roman world. Chapter 4: Crossing the Rubicon. After years of victories in Gaul, Caesar returned as one of the most successful generals in Roman history. He was wealthy, famous, and supported by a loyal army. But not everyone in Rome welcomed his success. Many senators feared Caesar's growing power. They believed he had become too influential and too dangerous. Soon, a conflict began between Caesar and the Roman Senate. The Senate ordered Caesar to give up command of his army and return to Rome as a private citizen. For Caesar, this was a dangerous choice. Without his army, his political enemies could destroy him. With his army, he would be seen as a rebel. In 49 BC, Caesar made his decision. He marched toward a small river called the Rubicon. According to tradition, no Roman general was allowed to cross it with an army. Standing before the river, Caesar faced a moment that would change history. Then he gave the order to move forward. By crossing the Rubicon, Caesar declared war on his enemies. There was no turning back. The Roman Civil War had begun. Chapter 5: Master of Rome. The Civil War did not last long. Caesar's military experience and loyal soldiers gave him a powerful advantage. One by one, his enemies were defeated. Some fled Rome. Others surrendered. By 45 BC, Caesar stood victorious. For the first time in many years, there was no rival powerful enough to challenge him. The Roman world was now under his control. The Senate granted Caesar more honors than any Roman before him. Statues were built in his honor. His image appeared throughout Rome. Eventually, Caesar was named dictator for life. Many ordinary Romans celebrated his success. They saw him as a leader who had brought stability after years of conflict. But not everyone shared that opinion. Some senators became deeply concerned. Rome had always been proud of being a republic, not a kingdom. They feared that Caesar wanted even more power. Some even believed that he planned to make himself king. Whether those fears were true or not, one thing was certain.
The number of Caesar's enemies was growing, and in secret, a dangerous conspiracy was beginning to take shape.
Chapter 6: The Conspiracy. As Caesar's power continued to grow, so did the fear of his enemies. Many senators believed that Rome was changing too quickly. They feared that the republic, which had existed for centuries, was coming to an end. Among those who opposed Caesar were several influential senators, including Cassius and Brutus. Brutus was a particularly surprising figure. Caesar trusted him and considered him a friend. Brutus feared that Caesar's power threatened the future of Rome. Secret meetings began to take place behind closed doors. The conspirators debated what they should do. Some wanted to oppose Caesar politically. Others believed that only one solution remained. They decided that Caesar had to die. More and more senators joined the plot. Soon, dozens of men were involved. Their plan was simple but dangerous. They would attack Caesar during a meeting of the Senate. There, surrounded by fellow senators, he would be vulnerable. The date was chosen. The weapons were prepared. And the conspirators waited for the perfect moment to strike. Chapter 7: The Ides of March. March 15th, 44 BC. The day had finally arrived. According to several ancient sources, Caesar received warnings that something was wrong. Some friends advised him not to attend the Senate meeting. Others claimed that strange signs and bad omens had appeared throughout Rome. But Caesar chose to go. As he entered the Senate, dozens of senators were already waiting. At first, everything seemed normal. Suddenly, hidden daggers appeared. The attack had begun. Caesar tried to defend himself, but he was surrounded. The senators struck again and again. Then one of the conspirators stepped forward. Moments later, another senator grabbed Caesar. Caesar tried to defend himself, but he was surrounded. The senators struck again and again. Among the attackers was Brutus, a man Caesar had trusted. Within minutes, the most powerful man in Rome lay dead on the floor of the Senate. He had been stabbed more than 20 times. The conspirators believed they had saved the Roman Republic, but they had no idea what would happen next. Instead of restoring peace, they had opened the door to even more chaos. Chapter 8: The Legacy of Caesar. The conspirators believed that Caesar's death would save the Roman Republic. Instead, the opposite happened. News of the assassination spread quickly throughout Rome. Many citizens were shocked and angry. Rather than celebrating the death of Caesar, large crowds mourned him. Soon, Rome was once again thrown into conflict. The conspirators found themselves facing powerful enemies. Among them was a young man named Octavian, Caesar's adopted son and chosen heir. Together with his allies, Octavian sought revenge against those responsible for Caesar's death. One by one, the leaders of the conspiracy were defeated. Brutus and Cassius eventually took their own lives after suffering military defeat. In the years that followed, Octavian continued to gain power. Eventually, he became Augustus, the first emperor of Rome. The Roman Republic that the conspirators had tried to save was gone. In its place stood the Roman Empire. More than 2,000 years later, Julius Caesar remains one of the most famous figures in history. His name became a symbol of power. In fact, titles such as Kaiser in Germany and Tsar in Russia were inspired by his name. Caesar's enemies succeeded in killing the man, but they failed to destroy his legacy. And that is why the story of Julius Caesar is still remembered today.